Together we're making a moist and delicious, healthier chocolate chip banana bread with cottage cheese. It's made gluten-free with oat and almond flour, and it's naturally sweetened with ripe bananas and cane sugar. Then it gets a protein boost from cottage cheese that we're blending smooth with our bananas to remove the curdled texture. And we're topping it with your choice of mini chocolate chips that meet your dietary preference. Hello there, my name is Nicole Bonilla, and I am so glad you're here. If you like healthier recipes made with all natural ingredients like I do, then you are in the right place. To make our banana bread, we're going to start by prepping our pan. I really like to line my pan with parchment paper because it makes it really easy for getting the bread out of the pan once it's baked. So I'm just going to lay down my piece of parchment paper and fold up one edge and fold it on the square. Place my pan on top, score the other side, fold it down on the score line, flip it over, press it down into my pan, score the bottom, press and fold one side, and press and fold the other. And now I'll go ahead and spray it with some non-stick spray. And then we can set this aside. To make the batter, you'll want to use ripe bananas, and that's bananas that are starting to get those nice dark brown spots. Now you can either use 2 medium-sized bananas, or since my bananas are on the smaller side, I'm going to use 3 instead. Now you could mash your bananas with a fork, but since we also want to blend down our cottage cheese to remove that texture, I find it works really well to just add all my wet ingredients to the bowl and then use an immersion blender to blend it all together at the same time. But you could also do this with an upright blender or a food processor. So next I'm going to add a 1/2 cup of cane sugar, 1/3 cup of cottage cheese, and you can use large curd or small curd, but I found that the full fat works best. Then we'll add 3 tablespoons of oil, and light olive oil is my favorite, 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, and then I'll use my immersion blender and just mix it until it's all really smooth and creamy. And now our bananas are nice and smooth, and we don't have any more of the curdled cottage cheese texture. Now we've waited to add our eggs because we didn't want them overmixed with the blender. So now I'm just going to add 2 eggs, and then using a whisk, I'll just mix this together just until they're combined. Now we can include our dry ingredients, which includes oat flour and almond flour. For the oat flour, if you have old-fashioned oats or quick oats at home, you can simply blend them up within about 10-15 seconds, either in a blender or a food processor, to get a very fine flour. So I'm going to add 1 3/4 cup of oat flour, 3/4 cup of almond flour. I found that this combination of these 2 flours makes for a really fluffy and delicious bread. And then we're going to add 2 teaspoons of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, and 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Now we'll just whisk these together until well combined. And then we have this nice and thick and very yummy smelling batter. Now we can add in 1/3 cup of chocolate chips, but I'm going to hold back at least a tablespoon of them because I want to sprinkle those on the top. So I'll go ahead and add about 1/4 cup of the chocolate chips, and then I have the rest that I can sprinkle on top. And then I'll just fold these in with a spatula, and then we can pour the batter into our prepared pan. And then I'll make sure the batter is evenly spread in the pan, and then take the remaining chocolate chips and sprinkle them on top. Well, this looks gorgeous, and it is ready to go into a 350-degree oven for about 45 to 55 minutes. And to make sure that it's baked through completely, it's going to have a nice golden brown color on the top, and a toothpick inserted will come out clean. Well, here's my banana bread that I allowed to bake and cool completely, and it is beautiful. You can see it has that really nice golden color on top, and it is cooked through. Then using the parchment paper, it's really easy to lift out of the pan, and then letting it cool makes it much easier to slice. I like to just barely cut off the end because then every slice is an inside slice. You can see what a nice soft, moist, yet tender crumb that this has. That is delicious. I love the extra flavor that comes in from the oat and the almond flour, and it has the perfect amount of sweetness without being overly sweet. And I love how the cottage cheese just adds moisture and flavor, but without being detectable. In a recipe like this, I'm always trying to minimize the amount of added sweeteners, but still have it be emotionally satisfying. And I love being able to share these creatively healthy recipes so that you can enjoy them too. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with me today in my kitchen. And I've included a link to the full recipe in the video description below, and it's on my website, gentletummy.com. And I also invite you to like and subscribe to my channel. And if you know someone else who you think would love this recipe, please share this video with them. And I cannot wait to have you hang out with me again in my kitchen.